Greetings, this is Imaduck here for an episode of what we're calling Quack Magic here. So a little bit different from my normal Quack Poker series here, playing some Magic the Gathering. So actually, if you don't know, I used to do a series that was Magic. I used to be very into Magic and playing lots of big tournaments and all that kind of stuff. Recently kind of switched over into playing lots of poker, all that good stuff. But there is still a format of Magic I play, and that is Cube. For all you poker fans, there will also be an episode of Quack Poker this week. And for all you Magic fans who are joining me, thank you and welcome. So yeah, I love Cube Draft, even though I don't play Magic that much anymore. The one format I always play the hell out of whenever it pops up online is Cube. Because Cube is just great. Cube is amazing. Cube is, I think it's really like the perfect balance of a a limited format and sort of a constructed format at the same time. Like, you remove a lot of the variance. I think there's a lot more skill in it, is what I would say, in short. Because you don't have as many, if you're not playing a power cube, at least, you don't have as many, like, super bomb rares and crazy stuff like that to kind of spoil, the sort of balance. It's, there's a lot more, it's a lot more about building a good deck, because every card is good. Now, that being said, I've played this new version of the Cube a lot, and I do think they've taken the power level down. I also do have a pet deck that I really, really, really like, and it may color my first pick here, I don't know. So the pet deck that I really think is good in the power level, since they've taken the power level down on this version of the Cube, I think is a black-white sort of control deck. Very, very good. I really like it. However, and I think it's very good because there's lots of 2-for-1s. There's lots of control cards that can kind of take care of everything in any situation. I've really liked it, and I've played a lot of iterations of this cube and built that deck more than the other one. However, I think I'm going to take Cryptic here because because it's definitely the strongest card in the pack. There's not many other blue cards in this pack other than maybe like Ral Zarek. Which people might just be more inclined to splash. I mean, I do like Restoration Angel, and that's like a really close pick for me. But I think Cryptic's the best card. We're just going to start off by taking some of the best cards and just kind of go from there. That being said, now, this pack's got a lot of different good cards that I like. Garrick's good. Planeswalkers, especially, like I said, I do feel like they've kind of lowered the power level of this cube, and so then the really powerful cards become more powerful, the ones that are left in there, and certainly, like, Planeswalkers are insane in this format. Guys, Saint Traff is fine, but we're not necessarily in those colors. Wake Thrasher is a card I like, but it's not something I want to pick up early. These black cards are fine. Land is fine. Porcelain Legionnaire is a card I like, and it's not a bad card to take early just because you can play it in every single deck. It's great. But I think Rook has the biggest upside if we end up playing it. It can be just sort of one of the defining cards in our deck here. All right, and now we've got some decisions here. Kind of we might be all over the place with these first few picks. Chandra Naylar, I'm really happy that they added this back to the cube. I really like this card. I think it's powerful. I think it's nice. I think it's good in a lot of different decks. I'm a fan. Necrotal is just a great 2-for-1. Obviously, we're not in black yet, but we really haven't solidified our colors. Faith's Fetters is a favorite card of mine just because I really am a big fan of cards that can take care of any threat that are super versatile. I might just take Faith's Fetters here, and we'll just see kind of where things go from here. There's nothing that really works with like the blue-green ramp plan, which is what our other decks are so far. There's Kaiga, but Kaiga is not my favorite finisher. We'll find better finishers, I think, than that for sure. Kaiga sometimes just does too little too late. Just doesn't quite get there. Alright, so I mean, we are in a whole bunch of different colors. The other nice thing about Faith's Fetters, it is splashable if we end up, in whatever deck. Going with the cards we have here, I do think we could fit into a nice blue-green shell. Of course, this is pretty awful, taking a triple green and a triple blue card. Not the best things for mana, but we'll deal with that. So I think that being said, if we're thinking of a blue-green ramp shell, I think it's one of the stronger archetypes in this cube, and so I am going to take a Farseek here because we haven't seen too many ramp cards yet, and they're going to be pretty important. Other cards that I like, I mean, there's plenty of good cards in here still. So Ponder's a great card. Fits in a lot of decks. I mean, we could just take Ponder here. It's like almost a little bit of a safer pick. Apocryphite is a card that fits into almost every deck, but it's just a little too weak to take here, I think. Obliterator's fine if you're going the mono black deck, and I do think the mono black deck is actually fine in this cube. But yeah, we're gonna take Farseek here. All right. So if we are going in the blue-green control deck, then I think, you know, the blue-green ramp control deck, I think I like Venser a little bit more than Thrun. Thrun's a great card because it's just so annoying for your opponents to deal with. I always groan when my opponents play it, which means it must be a good card. You know, this is something we talk about a lot in poker, where it's like, well, you know, if you think about all the situations where you feel really awkward and upset when your opponent does blank, you know, those are the types of moves you want to be making. And I think we could say the same here in Magic. You know, Thrun is one of those cards that I always do get very annoyed when my opponents play it. Very annoying to take care of, take out. But still, I think Venser is just slightly better. Venser is another one of these cards that's very versatile, can kind of deal with everything. Can be a big tempo play, can be a big sort of control play, can, you know, occasionally blows your opponents out, all that kind of stuff. Here, we've got, I think I'm going to take an Obstinate Baloth. I think there's a lot of good cards here. Coralhelm Commander's an okay card, though I don't think it's great in this archetype. We could consider splashing black, and that actually is something I always want to look for when I'm doing green decks, because green-black has a lot of powerful cards that I like. But I think, you know, there are enough aggressive decks that Obstinate Baloth is good. We've been seeing a lot of decent red cards, which means, you know, we could have gone green-red and probably been okay. We got some okay black cards here, too. You know, this is, again, why I love cubes so much, is really, I mean, you see, even in this pack, like, the colors and the choices are really so open, and there's a lot of, you know, different decisions that I think, you know, I think a lot of people would have gone a completely different direction seeing the same set of cards, and I think that's really great that there's just so many different decisions, whereas a lot of times in draft formats, you know, it's like, you know, maybe some people go one way, some people go the other, but there's usually not, like, you know, instead of like there being 10 different paths you might take, there's probably 2 or 3 main paths that people take. Yeah, I mean, Solemn is just a great card, and it's, you know, good in this archetype. It does everything you want it to do in this type of deck, and it's kind of good at any point in the game, etc., etc. I don't think I need much justification on that. I think that's a pretty obvious pick there. You know, this card's interesting. I haven't played with it at all, but I don't think it might be okay. It might be okay, but I think I like Repulse better. It's just a fine tempo card, draw a card. You know, it gives us some interaction. You know, the blue-green deck, unlike some of the other decks, you know, some of the other ramp decks. The blue-green deck I like to make in a mix of sort of interactive and non-interactive stuff. So sometimes you're just on the I'm just going to straight ramp out a fatty and, you know, destroy you sort of plan. And sometimes you're more on the control-y, you know, do whatever sort of plan. And you can kind of change gears based on what your hand looks like and what your opponent's doing and all that kind of stuff. Wake Thrasher is a card I just love in general because it'll just randomly win you games. You know, if your opponent doesn't have spot removal, it's just, you just can win off of it, and often your opponent will have to waste a lot of cards to kind of get there against that. Thirst for Knowledge or Kaiga is pretty close. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of either card. I think because we don't have any big threats right now, and I think the number of big threats to ramp into, it feels like they've decreased in this cube, although, you know, I haven't actually looked at the cube set to know for sure. You know, just in case we might want this to be a finisher. But like I was saying before, I still think it's not a great finisher. It's definitely not my favorite, but it's better than not having any big finishers. Like, because if you just ramp and ramp and ramp, and the biggest thing you do is play a couple of decent 5-drops, it's just not a good plan. Triskelion just seems awful. I mean, it's a 3-3. Or, well, I guess a 4-4. Who wants to play a 4-4 for 6? You know, okay, can ping a couple times. It's really not that great. We'll keep it in the sideboard. I mean, I think it's fine in, like, you know, other limited formats, but this is cube. Don't think we'll be playing Overrun. That's a cute card, though. I mean, if we were, like, red-green aggro, I think it'd be a powerful card. but in this deck, it doesn't seem as good. Vindicate, one of my favorite cards. Oh god, look at this. We've got a Treachery and we got Concentrated. This is a pack. I mean, this is one of those packs. If we could just take the pack and move on to the next one, we totally would. Consecrated Sphinx, Treachery, Riftwing Cloudscape, Skull Clamp, just all amazing cards for our deck. And Terastodon. I think Treachery is still just kind of the nuts. I mean, it's really close between Treachery and Consecrated Sphinx. But, you know, Consecrated Sphinx wins you the game. I mean, Treachery just kind of breaks the game a lot of time. Because it's just like, take your best dude. Oh, and I'm going to do something else this turn. And I think it really works well with this archetype. I mean, it's a little bit close. I mean, because, yeah, Concentrated Sphinx obviously is awesome. And I wouldn't necessarily blame someone for taking that. But, yeah. Skull Clamp I like in these types of decks because if you have a bunch of mana elves... I almost always, if I'm playing a deck that's going to have mana elves, I want to draft ways to do other things with them. So either ways to discard them, or you know, either ways to like you know, what's it called? Discard them to search up another creature. You know what I'm talking about. My mind is drawing a blank here. But anyway, I like to have something to do with them. Be able to cycle them or whatever I need to do late game. Because if not, drawing a mana elf on turn 14 is never good. A lot of great cards here. Oran Viper, Yavimaya Elder, and Shakira Tribe Elder. I'm going to take the Tribe Elder just because we don't have a lot of ramp on the small end, so I think it's worth taking him. But I could see, I mean, both of these cards are cards I like. Yavimaya Elder is obviously better card advantage, but I kind of just feel like we need a few smaller ramp cards. Granted, we might get some more later on, but you don't really know. Yeah, I mean, so we are seeing a lot of cards that we want in these packs, for sure. Wood Elves, Behemoth. Behemoth's a little expensive. Not crazy about it as a finisher. So I like cards like Thragtusk and Obstinate Baloth because it just gives you... it just makes it much harder for aggressive decks to win against you. I also like Stomp Holler a lot. And I think I might take Stomp Holler, especially if we get one of the cards that lets us search up creatures. You know, it's nice to have this kind of versatility, and this is probably my favorite of the, like, destroy target artifacts kind of dudes. So I think that's who we'll take. I think I'm okay with that. Thragtusk I like a lot. What Elves? Elves of Deep Shadow, all fine. Craterhoof is a little expensive, and we don't have, like, a bunch of little dudes, so it's not as good in our deck, but it's still fine. So Cord is a way to fetch things up, but I don't think we have enough creatures to make this necessarily at its best in our deck, but I think it's still fine. But I do like Woodfall Primus. That's a great thing to go into. Again, it's a little bit expensive, but you get so much more value out of it when you cast it. I really like it. I mean, Craterhoof sometimes wins you the game, but sometimes it's just like, okay, a hasty dude that doesn't do, you know, does a little damage, and then they just kill it, you know, Doomblight it or whatever. So yeah, I think I'm going to take the Woodfall Primus here. Okay. So we don't have any... We've only got the fetch land now. I mean, we could get like a Stomping Ground if we want to splash red, and that would open up cards like Huntmaster. I mean, I think I could take that for the sideboard. You know, because there's not really anything else here in this pack for us. I think Kozilek is a little ambitious. And it would basically mean, if we take Kozilek, it means we have to go into a really heavy ramp strategy. And I don't really like the super, like, high, you know, heavy on the high-end ramp strategies, just because it means you have to run so many ramp cards that it's really easy just to get stalled out and flooded out with ramp cards and not have any big threats. Or vice versa, have your few big threats in hands and just no way to ramp them out, and you just kind of lose. Alright, well, now we were getting a bunch of good packs, and now things are petering out, which means there might be people in our colors, but not much we can do at this point. I think we're going to take the Pernicious Deed, in case we decide to splash black. Like I said, I mean, there are several, like, good, like, black-green cards that I really like, and it's one of the reasons I like to splash black. This one is not my favorite, per se, but it's okay. I think we could take Mana Confluence. I think is fine here. Path to Exile is also okay if we are thinking about the white splash, which we are because we got the Faith's Feathers. Fetters. You know, actually, I think I am gonna take the path. A little, you know, we're gonna really need to see if we can find the right cards for this. Here we have to take the Flooded Grove over Edric. I really do like Edric, but Flooded Grove, great mana fixing for our deck. It's kind of what we need here. We're going to hope to find a way to splash white at some point in this deck. If we want to splash back, there's a Twilight Black, there's a Twilight Mire, or there's Call of the Herd, which is okay, but not great. I think the Mire is fine. Oran Viper is one of the cards we wanted to see wheel back. Talrand, I don't think we have enough cards that play well with it, so we're just going to leave that there. And Cloudfin Raptor I don't think is really playable here. You know, now that we have some big end targets, I think the Wood Elves are a little more important for our deck, and so I am fine. Excuse me, taking that. So I will take that. It's a nice little ramp card that's a 2-for-1. Mindslaver's interesting. I don't think we would play it if we took it. We could take a Cryptologist that's a little slow and clunky, but occasionally is okay. I don't think we're playing either of these cards. I'm going to take Mindslaver. Who knows? You know, I could be wrong. I just don't normally play either of those cards. I'm going to take this guy because he's really annoying to play against. I'm going to take Death Cloud because Honor to the Pure, well, they're both not very playable cards. Rude Awakening is a slightly playable card, but right at this moment we don't have any of the super ramp spells, you know, the spells that let us tap our lands for double mana or anything like that, and that's kind of what you need to make that card work. Arbor Elf might be our pickup here. There's Genesis Wave, which is okay, but again, it's like one of the you really want to have lots of ramp things if you're going to do that. Teferi is fine, Essence Scatter is fine, Borderland Ranger is fine, but I think Arbor Elfing it out. It's like Arbor Elf or Worn Power Stone. Worn Power Stone's okay too, but Arbor Elf, you know, almost does the same thing. It sometimes does more for us in the long run. So there's Brushland. I think we're taking Shackles here. Shackles is a great card because it's just a lot of decks that just cannot beat it. Some great black cards here, obviously Bitter Blossom, Shriekmaw. Elish Norn is one of my favorite white cards, it's just so good. And of course we're passing our Brushland here, which is a little sad, but you know, it's okay. We'll be okay. So Shackles I think is fine. So our deck is looking okay. Not the best deck I've built in this format. We do have a Treachery, but folks did get all those other great blue cards. So, but hey, if our opponent plays a Consecrated Sphinx and then we get to Treachery it's like we're the real winners there, right? We're the ones who come out way ahead there. That's the way I'm going to think about it. You know, we'll Treachery them, and then we'll have Cryptic Command open, and they won't be able to do anything. Yeah, that's how I'm envisioning it. No, I mean, our deck's looking okay. It's not the best deck I've ever drafted, but it's not bad either. Coral Helm Commander is not a card I necessarily want to play. All these other cards I think are playable, though. Yeah. Mana's going to be a little awkward. I don't necessarily want to play that or that. I think so. I'm going to throw those in the sideboard just for now, just because. I think Tropical Island has the biggest upside over any of the other cards here. We could take the Overgrown Tomb, but that only lets us play Permission-D, which is not my favorite card, so I'm kind of fine with just taking Tropical Island. Like the Adam Green song, Tropical Island. Oh. Yeah, I'll take it. Seems good for our deck. Granted, we do need a lot more playables. You know, I did put a few playables in our sideboard that we can pull out, but for now, we're going to stick with this and just hope we get a lot more playables here in our next few picks. And I might need to pause here. Up, sorry, there. Didn't skip out the recording. Sorry to freak you out there. Opposition's a great card, obviously, but I don't think we quite have the deck for it. Though it's actually really close. We've got a few, like, doofy mana dudes and stuff that can make it okay. But I'm just going to pass on it. So it's between Adakar Waste and Elder. Ah. Which is not... I mean, these aren't good pickings. I mean, I could also take, like, Watery Grave or something if I still want to try to splash black. But I really want to splash white over black, but I really don't want to run any of these cards, period. And I really want, like, more cards from my main deck. Maids of Ith is a card that could potentially go in our main... I'm just going to take the Waste. Alright. Primal Command's a great card. I do like that card. And I think there's not much else for us here. Fairy Conclave is fine. Yeah, I like the Primal Command. Hornet Queen is 8 mana. We got a lot of big spells if we take that. I think we're better off just taking Preordain. Hornet Queen is a really cool card, and I'm kind of glad they added it to the cube. I mean, it's very, very powerful. They just basically have to have a Wrath, or it's almost impossible for them to win the game. And so that's always fun. But Preordain, obviously, is always very good, and kind of just will help round out our deck and all that other... I mean, it's Preordain. You can't ever fault somebody for taking that, right? We got another blue-white if we want to take that, if we want to splash our white. Otherwise, there's V-Click, which is a powerful card, Dissipate, and Daze, which are both okay. But we don't want to get way too counter-heavy. I don't think we're not really a Eureka deck. Though, I mean, Eureka does get, like, Woodfall. Be okay, but not crazy good. Because we just don't have that many small green creatures. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Eureka is the one where you just put everything in. Oh, which in that case, Eureka could be playable. I don't know. It's not a card I play much. I'm still going to just take Glacial Fortress here, I think. And that will kind of like... Yeah. And so now we have a choice. Wow. Okay, we have so many... So every land we want is in this pack. And there's also a Deranged Hermit. And we might have to take the Deranged Hermit just because we're so short on playables. I really wish we had gotten more ramp cards. We're not too bad, but 1 or 2 more would have been better. But we'll be okay. I feel bad passing up some lands, but our land situation is not too bad. I think we're going to take that. So that happened. Borderland Ranger or Worn Power Stone. Kind of like Borderland Ranger here. Worn Power Stone. What does it do for us? Anything good? I mean, it does ramp us there, but we kind of have such color-heavy high stuff that I actually think Borderland Ranger is going to be slightly better, even though it's not really a ramp spell. It's basically a ramp spell. Here it's between, like, Looter and Krosan Grip. We've got a Stomp Hauler already, we've got a Cryptic and a Venser, so we kind of have ways to deal with some of the weird artifacty stuff. I don't, you know, I do like Krosan Grip a lot, but I think Looter's just always going to be played. It's always going to be good for the most part, so I'm fine with having it here. Aetherling, I'm just not crazy about. It's, you know, it's a fine finisher, but it's very slow, and if you're behind on the board, it's not that great a lot of the time. Though I don't think Stunning Growth is much better. I just don't really want to play any of these cards, although I'm not sure. If I had a little more time I could think about, and wasn't talking to the mic, I could think about that pick a little bit more maybe and come to a better decision, but for now, I think that's fine. I guess we will take the Elder here. That does give us, yeah, you know, another reason we didn't need the artifact destruction spells. Fairy Conclave here is okay. Chasm Stalker, I don't know, we'll just take it. Dissipate. Dissipate's actually playable here. Alright, we'll see how this turns out. Oops, sorry. Alright, so yeah, this is what I've got. Man, that Moto makes this so hard. Hold on here. So I ended up not splashing the white, even though we picked up those white splashes at the end, for a couple of reasons. First of all, because, you know, I kind of prefer, you know, if you don't have to splash, you shouldn't. And it did give us some stuff we wanted, like the creature removal that we're kind of lacking. Oh, you know, actually, though, I don't want to run Chasm Stalker. That was the other card I would like to cut. Oh, is this card? I mean, the card's okay, but it's not not really what we want. Is there anything else? Ooh, what would you play here, guys? Because I don't really know. I mean, Future Sight's cute. It's cute. It's very blue, though. Kaiga's cute. Maybe more what we need? Yeah, fuck it. Let's play Kaiga. I don't know. We're going to try that. Oops. Wait. Where? I can't look at my deck more? Okay, well, that's how Moto does it. Or, oh, I guess I was the last to resubmit? I don't know what happened there. Alright. Anyway, yeah, so I ended up cutting the white just because